So let's see the range here. Has anybody ever used hard money in here before? Okay, so we've got a couple of that. Cool. So those who have, what are you trying to get out of tonight's meeting?
I need to get my second property, and I need
Okay.
to refinance the one with the hard money lender that I'm currently using.
Okay, all right. See if I can offer some insight on that yet.
Consistency and clarity. So
Okay.
I'm closing tomorrow morning at 9:30.
All right.
Haven't seen the preliminary HUD or anything yet.
Okay.
So I may have to bring 16 grand or 30 grand.
Okay. We can dive into that. I'll give you details on what. I'll give you insight on what's like from the lender's perspective, right? Like what's going on behind the scenes right now. Because I know exactly where you are and you're closing it. Somebody, yeah. So anyway, so those we'll get to that eventually, but we're going to start really high level for anybody who maybe here just kind of first or second meeting, right? So hard money. Why do you want to use hard money? Does anybody have any? Just throw it out. Yeah.
It's quick.
It's quick.
Speed.
I mean that's one and two. It's quick and speed. Yeah. Anything else?
It's not traditional, so it should be easier to qualify for.
Easier. Okay.
Consistency.
Consistency.
Not mine.
Not I.
It's not mine.
Not mine. Okay. So that's usually what I get first. Now that's a really good answer. It's not mine because the point of hard money is to leverage the money you have. Now some people here are trying to get into the game with no money. They've heard people say that, like get into real estate with no money. You can do that. The hard money isn't necessarily built directly for that. We're going to try to use the money you currently have and then just multiply it. So let's say you have $10,000. That might mean you have a buying power of $50,000 or $100,000 with the hard money, right? So it's all about using the cash you do have now and making it go further. So that's what hard money is for. Now, my company's name is called Hard Money Bankers. It's a little bit of a misnomer because we're fully private capital. We're not a bank. It's just really great marketing, and we've had it since 2007. Yeah, it's a good name. So, yeah, I'll give you a little background on us. We've been around since 2007. We started in Maryland. Two partners of mine, I wasn't involved yet. We moved up into the PA area about 2012, 2013, and now we cover Jersey, Delaware, Virginia. And it's just me and three other partners. Some of you guys might know my brother, Ian, in this area. And that's it. It's just the four of us, and we run the whole shop. We do have three people who help us on some back-end things. But in terms of when you bring a deal to me, I'm doing it all for you. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying if you go to a hard money lender that's more, they get their funding from Wall Street, basically. They're going to have a whole team. They're going to have inspectors that they got to send it out to, third-party inspectors. They're going to have underwriters they got to send it to. They're going to have bank underwriters. So they have like 10 different people that are going to touch your deal. But for what we do, it's just me, and that's it, right? And I say that just because I'm going to have insight for all the questions you guys have tonight because I have to do it myself. It's pros and cons of being a small team is you do a little bit of absolutely everything. And if you're in real estate, honestly, get used to that. Get used to doing everything, including the marketing, especially the marketing, by the way. So if everybody's new, learn how to market first. Everything else will follow. And then second, running the business itself. So that's basically what everyone does in real estate. David kind of already said it. If you're not here to make money, go find a cheaper hobby, right? Like, we're all here to make money. So let's put our minds together and figure out how to do that on a win-win situation. So, all right, so hard money. There's really two types of lenders out there. Well, hard money, the reason why it's called hard money is not because it's hard to get or anything like that. It's because it's based on a hard asset, a physical asset. You can be a hard money lender for gold, for cars, for whatever. It's just very common in real estate that we are hard money lenders on a piece of property. Land can count as well. There's different types of lenders, different comfort zones. For example, we don't do land. There's just different risks involved with every different type of deal that you do. But for the most part, you're looking for a property and how much that's worth. And that's what the hard money is based on. A bank is more going to be, like if you're going for your primary residence or something like a 30-year mortgage, they're going to be more soft lender in the sense of they're looking at you as a person. Like, what's your credit score? What's your W-2s, your tax returns? Let me see your last 10 years of pay statements, all that. They get all that tape, mostly because they have to. It's a legal thing. when, especially in 2007, once the whole bubble hit, I probably don't think it's 2007, 2008 to anyone, but there's a big market crash, and the whole reason was because all these loans were being given out that were not qualified, is what they ended up saying. So the government basically just said, all right, you have to prove somebody can live and afford that house from now on. And that's why there's all this red tape. It's not because the lenders want to, that makes their job more pain in the butt. But there's a loophole, so to speak. It's not really a loophole, it's just investment property doesn't count as somebody, it's not a primary residence, it's a business, right? So I don't have to prove all the things that somebody who's trying to live there and raise their family has to do as somebody who just wants to get in, fix a property, make it a rental. So it was the way the government kind of agreed with different lenders saying, okay, you guys can stay fast as long as you're lending to business entities. So that's why if you ever go to a lender and they say, I don't do primary residence, my company doesn't, it's because we don't want to get involved in the whole legal game, in the red tape. I mean, it's going to take 40, 50, 60 days to close. Not our deal. We're known for our 24-hour closings. Literally, you bring me a deal, I can comp it tonight, say, all right, I'll bring $100,000 tomorrow, or $1 million tomorrow. It's all about the deal with us. But you got to have title in. So anybody who's done a deal, that is the catch. You got to have title ready to go, and I can close tomorrow. We can get into what you need with title. But that's it on the high level. There's between kind of your primary residence lenders and then your investment lenders. Sorry, I'm trying to go. I had slides, but it's not going to work, so I'm trying to remember if you were headed. So okay, so and by the way, at any point, anybody has any question, I don't care what topic it is, just be like, hey, yeah, go for it.
What's the highest LTV you guys do in hard money lending?
Well, I mean, me as a company, probably 80%. But you'll see lenders that'll go 90. I've seen 95 advertised. I don't believe that for a second. I think it's just you ever see like a leased car commercial? Right. They're like, you get it for $50 a month, right? And then all the fine print says after you give us $10,000, right? It's kind of like that. So don't fall for those types of things.
Does anybody in the room not know what LTV means? We're here to learn. Okay, LTV means loan to value. So, I run into this all the time into if you've ever talked to somebody who said, oh yeah, we were trying to buy this house. This is happening a lot now. We were trying to buy this house and the mortgage fell through. You hear that a lot. So a bank or a lender is only going to lend you based on the appraised value of the home, not the sell price. The sell price is whatever the seller wants to sell it for. So if a house is selling for $200,000, but they come in and they appraise it, it only appraises for $180,000, you're only going to get a loan for whatever percentage of $180,000 that the bank will agree to. So 80% loan to value is they will loan you 80% of the appraised value of the homes. Anybody understand that?
And so, is that what you're gonna lend, 80% of the appraised value? When you say, oh, you can get 80% hard money of the appraised
And in
value?
flipping, we're dealing with after repair value or market value of the house. So it's, if I'm buying that house,
Right.
and I do my due diligence, and I understand that that house, after I put all the repairs into it, is going to be worth on the market $200,000. He will loan me 80% of $200,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So exactly. I mean, it depends what phase you're talking about. You're talking about the as-is LTV. So there's a bunch of different terminologies we could throw out there. But point being, if there's any terminology I say tonight and you don't know it, just say, what is that?
We love our acronyms.
We love our acronyms.
Love our acronyms.
Yeah.
I say this every day, so it's kind of just natural. But yeah, so we're usually about 80% LTV. But to David's point, really the more accurate for my company is I'll go up to 65% of the ARV. That's gonna be my max limit.
ARV being?
After repair value. Thank you. After repair value, meaning that how much the house is worth once you fix it up. Yeah, that's the number. So there's three numbers. Short-term lenders, investment property lenders are always looking at it. Short-term lenders are typically 1 to 5 year. A long-term is usually 5 and up. No real difference other than me saying that's how long my terms are instead of between short and long term. So I'll go up 65% of the ARV. So there's three numbers that really matter, tell the whole story, which is your purchase price, your rehab numbers, and then your ARV. So learn to master those three numbers and you're gonna succeed wherever you wanna go in real estate, whether you wanna do fix and flips, rentals, doesn't matter. You learn how to get those three numbers accurately, and you'll do well. I'm happy to dive into how to get all those as well as we go. So yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll leave you alone after this, I
Go ahead.
promise.
Anytime.
After he's done, what I will do is for anybody that hasn't bought a property, flipped it, and then sold it, I will explain to you how to do something that I call a virtual flip, which you can it's just like kind of an exercise on paper where you can follow the property through its lifespan and watch it be sold. Because you can go on Zillow, you can see what a property sold for, and you can see what it resold for. And then you can do the exercise on paper to actually just say, okay, this is what I think based on what research I did, and you can see if you're right once that house sells. And if you do that 3 or 4 or 5 times and you're right and you're doing your numbers right, then you can, in my opinion, you can safely enter into an actual real money transaction. So after he's done, I'll get into a little bit more detail.
It's a great exercise. Great exercise. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a T-shirt then for first and last.
Get the t-shirt cannon?
Yeah, I should
Can't
get
do it here? No?
another question. Yeah.
When you do,
I'll repeat it for everyone.
yeah, where's, let's say someone comes to you,
Huh?
do you ever go into percentage of the deal because the deal that they're doing is good?
As a joint venture? Okay, so the question is, if somebody has a really good deal, would me as a lender maybe go in as a partner on the deal and do a percentage with that client? The answer is yes. The frequency of that is very, 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 very low. It's generally with people I shouldn't say generally. It's only been done with people I've done business with before, and I know they can execute, and I have good rapport with them, and I can trust them. I know hard money kind of has an interesting reputation because of like the mob and mafia, 30 years ago maybe, but it's kind of the opposite now. The more truthful and honest somebody is, the more business I will do with them. Shadiness immediately shuts down a deal. So if you're somebody I can trust, and there's a good enough deal, we will partner up. There's no hard amount, it depends on the deal itself. But in terms of percentages, but yeah, absolutely. I would say though, for 99.5% of my business, I don't, because that's work. And yeah, I mean, really, I do lending. That is all I do. I've done the other stuff, and it's not for me. It's not to say not to do it. It's just that everybody needs to find the part of their business that matches their personality. Some people in here are going to make great landlords. Some people in here are going to make great fix and flippers. I mean, so I'm 35 years old. I'm going on 20, I know. But when I was in college, I swung the hammer. I would do the home repairs, right? I sucked at it. I just wasn't good at it. Because I'm more of like a computer nerd, right? Like I crunch numbers is what I do. But I knew there was a lot of potential in real estate, so here I am. But you got to just find what part of your business works for you. And lending, crunching numbers, that's what I do every day, right? So once you partner up with somebody, you start getting phone calls saying, yeah, this contractor's not showing up, what do we do? And that's just my personal, I don't want to deal with that. But some people make great project managers. Some people, make great contractors. They can make anything look beautiful. They have great just vision of properties and things like that. So find your strengths, find what you enjoy, and go do it. But that's a little bit, let's say, hard money. So
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what do you look for in a personal?
Sure.
Like, I mean, if I have a 600 credit score and I'm late on my electric bill, my car bill's
Yep.
not paid, but I have this great house and we're gonna be fine.
Yep. Okay. So the 4 C's of lending. These are going to be what every lender uses to some extent. Short-term lender uses it a little bit differently than a long-term lender, and I'll go into them. So the first one, so I'm going to get to it's going to be a long-winded way to get to answer your question. So collateral is the most important thing for a short-term investor or lender. So I'm looking at the value of the property. So let's just say you found a fix and flip. Yeah, it's got one that needs let's use South Jersey numbers. Let's say you're buying it for 150,000, and you're doing 50,000 in renovation. So it's a decent size flip for South Jersey, and you. So the collateral, so the ARV on that, let's just say, is 300,000, right? I mean, that'd be awesome if you could find that right now. It's hard to find right now. Yeah, 5 years ago, even less than that, maybe 4 years ago, you could find that. But anyway, so let's say those are your numbers, 150, 50, and I come up with my ARV of 300,000. Now we do things a little differently. I don't send an appraiser out to give my values. I just look at, I know how to comp, I know Jersey, you know, I'm from here, that kind of thing. And I know where I'd be in a certain neighborhood, because there's different, I mean, because I cover North Jersey too, I don't know if everybody's in North Jersey, but I mean, totally different neighborhoods. So you gotta know your neighborhood types, and what the range truly is. That all comes down to comping. I'm not promoting my YouTube channel because I don't care about it or anything, but I have a really good video on my YouTube if you guys ever want to check it out on what we do as lenders, where we put hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars down on a single property just by comp methods that I talk about in the video. What most people are most surprised about is when I say I don't go beyond 0.2 miles of the subject property, but I can go further back in time. I'm not looking at just the last 6 months, I'm looking at the last 4 years, because the market's been going like this, so I can use data further back. It's kind of a whole other topic, so I'm gonna skip that for now. But anyway, collateral is the most important thing. So me, I'm thinking, okay, you're buying it for 150,000, you're gonna put 50,000 into it. I see a comp a couple doors down where the property sold for 140,000, and it's pretty beat up. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if this has to go to sheriff's sale, and it goes to sheriff's sale, so when a lender takes back the property because somebody didn't execute or whatever happened, it'll go to sheriff's sale, most likely. There's a lot of things that happen, but most likely it'll go to sheriff's sale. So I'm always trying to conclude in my head, what is this property going to sell for at sheriff's sale? I don't want to be above that number, right? So at 150,000, and what you have to include if you're a lender is your legal fees to get it to that point, and that is going to be $30,000 to $40,000.
Pardon me, so you're projecting the sale of what it would be on a sheriff's sale before you invest, or before you?
Yep. Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Interesting.
So
Calculative.
my job is not to make money. My job is to protect money as a lender.
Understood.
So I do not put more money in than, based on the data I have in front of me. Like if the market goes, the market goes. And then we're all aware of that. But based on the data I have right now, and I see this house next door is beat up, sold for 140,000. Okay, I can do that. Now I'm also looking at the ARV though. So I am also trying to find a house that sold for 300,000, assuming I have in this scenario. So I know, 65% ARV, it would bring me to about 195,000 if it's 300,000. So 65% is about 195,000. So my max loan here is about 195,000. But I back out rehab numbers now. So what that means is I'm going to give you $50,000 for rehab. Okay? So I do 195 minus 50,000. My day one number on this is 145,000. That's my exposure on 145,000. It's a lot of numbers I just threw at everybody. I don't know if all that made sense. But that's what I'm calculating as a lender. Okay?
But you're eventually gonna give, as work gets done, are you gonna give the other 50?
Exactly. So
Okay.
that's how we get up to the 65%. We don't start there.
Right.
We get there though. So
So
as
you'll start at the 145, knowing that the house right around the corner sold at a sheriff's sale for 140, so you know what, this house, if he doesn't do a thing to it, I could sell it for 140.
bingo. Yep, spot on. So I mean, we can use this joke because it ended up totally okay and the person's okay, but we had somebody day after closing got hit by lice. So it happens. Yeah, but they're totally okay, they're totally fine. But he's like, I mean, full cast, he's like, I can't do this deal. Now, we knew him and we said, okay, this is a good deal. We're actually going to do, we're not going to go to sheriff, so we finished it for them. But that is literally what we have to calculate as lenders, that borrower, the day after signing, is gone. And it's very infrequent, right? I mean, it's 95% of deals go great. Well, great is probably stronger, but they will finish to completion, right? So But we're always calculating, because like I said, my job is to protect money. That 5% can wipe you completely out if you're wrong on that 5%. So you make sure your exposure is never higher than, and this isn't numbers that I'm giving you as from a lender. You should also be calculating these numbers as the investor, because these are the same risks you're taking. I'm just super defensive because I do it, you know, so many, an investor maybe does 5, 6, if they got a good flow, maybe they're doing 10 to 20 a good year if they figured out how to do it often, right? But I'm doing, you know, hundreds every year, right? So my risk exposure is a little bit higher than most investors. So I'm very, I don't stray off my numbers. You know, people will say, can you get me another $5 grand? Like, no, you know, because why? Like, if 5 grand is the make or break of this deal, we shouldn't be doing it anyway. So that's the first C, is collateral. And making sure the numbers work backwards all the time. Just reverse engineering. It's not tricky, it's not complicated, it doesn't take a skill set, it's just math, right? So if you can put numbers into a calculator, you can successfully find good collateral. And I would say on the comping, be very, very tight to that property. You know, don't give me a comp that's in the same zip code. Just don't do that, right? You gotta be, I mean, if it's across a main street, I mean, I would literally, on this street, I would be looking at this building slightly different than the building over there. Because I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, as David said, is the biggest thing. As lenders, you know, I don't know why this side, because the neighborhood behind here might be nicer than the neighborhood behind there. And, you know, I'll look at comps on both sides, because then I see, okay, no, they're comparable, then we're good to go, right? That kind of thing. But people who are, you know, miles down the road, just saying that you don't know what you don't know. You don't know, maybe there's a smell down there that lowers the property value $20,000, right? So just be very, very tight on your comps is my biggest recommendation when it comes to collateral.
There's three words I want everybody to remember in this room when you're talking, because that's the big mystery. What's the aftermarket value? What's the repair? You know, 3 words. Remember this if you can. Data doesn't lie. Data doesn't lie. And I'll get into that in a little while, but the numbers are the numbers. The market is the market. Your house is not going to be worth more just because you want it to be. It's not going to be worth less. Things are worth what they're worth based on geography, condition, history, sale price, you know, we'll get into all that, but the data doesn't lie. Do your research. And I'll get into a little bit of that after Ryan's done, but you know, data doesn't lie.
100%. Data doesn't lie for anyone, for the camera.
For the camera.
For the camera. So I mean, just to compound on that, I personally like it when somebody's talking to me and they say, you know, I saw a comp for 300, but I'm going to go 280. When they say, I'm going to go 320, you tell me a lot about yourself, that you're willing to take risks that I don't want you taking with my money, right? I want you to be on the very defensive side of like 280, like maybe 300. Like if you see the comp at 300, you set the bar lower. You say maybe 280, I'm going to go for 280, 300 would be nice. And if you get 320, it's a home run for you, right? But don't start at the home run level. Don't say, I'm going to go up the bat and get a home run. You go the other way. I'm going to get a single, right? So I trust somebody in business who's giving me lower ARV numbers. Okay, so the 3 numbers that you want to do, you want a low purchase price, you want an overly high repair price, and a low ARV. So on those 3 numbers, that's where you want to be. You want to overestimate the repairs, because you don't want to underestimate those. And you want to come in low, always start low on your price. I always find it interesting when somebody adjusts their purchase price because the seller's not willing to sell it. I'm like, so you're willing to lose money because the seller's not willing to sell you the house? Like, is that what it is? Like, stay firm on your numbers. Reverse engineer the numbers. If you want to make $50,000 on a flip, know your numbers. Doesn't matter what the seller's selling it for. It doesn't matter if the starting bid's $200,000. You're like, I'm only gonna make money if I throw in $150,000. So just tell them $150,000, take it or leave it, and move on to the next project. You know, don't spend time trying to convince the seller to sell lower, right? You can walk them through where you got your money. You can say, I intend to make $50,000 on this project because I'm going to spend 6 months to a year of my time and my money and full exposure to fix this house. And some of them may understand that, some of them may not, especially in this market right now because people are just overpaying. They're doing it. Somebody, if they're going to live there, they're not overpaying. But if they're trying to be an investor, they're just trying to do work for no money, right? So don't fall into that trap. Reverse engineer your numbers and stay firm. So that's collateral. I'm still going to answer your question, I swear. So the next question is character. And now we're starting to get towards a little bit on your credit question. Character. This is the second most important thing. And in this order is the level of importance that's going through my head, because the collateral, for me, protects me if I'm wrong on the next three C's. So character, and I can tell in the first 5 minutes if you're somebody I want to do business with, because the questions I'm asking you are going to be just very simple, straightforward. You know, what's your ARV? What's your purchase price? What's your rehab? And if you say, well, I don't know, I still got to go into the property, I'm like, okay, cool, no problem, do that. Then give me a call back. Why are you calling me right now? Unless you're trying to establish a relationship, totally fine. But don't ask me to give you numbers based on nothing, right? So I'm not trying to come off as not approachable. Like, you can approach me whatever stage it is. But you know, I can't give you back firm numbers until you've done your homework, because I need those numbers in order to calculate what I need to do. And this comes into the character, because like, are you professional, or are you coming in? Because if you've done your homework, and it's okay if you're a first-time investor, and I've done many deals with first-time investors, because you come in polished, right? It's like any business. It's just here's my numbers. You know, here's what I plan on doing. Here's how I plan on getting out. Meaning I'm going to sell the property, or I'm going to rent it, whatever it is. You know, it's just good things you want to see in a first impression. And that's really what it is. It doesn't mean you can't hang up the phone and call me back later and we'll do the deal anyway. But a lot of assessing of a person's character is done in the first 5 minutes. The questions that have to be really careful about are when I ask, what's your credit score? And they say, somewhere in the low 6s. If they know it's in the low 6s, they know their number. So there's a reason they're not being direct with me right now. This is what's running through my head, right? So it's okay, they can tell me that. Like, I'm happy they're telling me that. And then if I say why, they say, I don't really know. I'm like, okay, so you do know your credit score, but you don't know why. Like, these are just red flags that are going off my head. To me, it's like you're trying to hide something from me, right? Because people who are just like, it's 620, I got high credits because I take out all these you know, Home Depot bills, whatever, for my projects. I'm like, cool. You know, I like that answer, the straightforward. I don't care if you have 500 credit. I just did a deal, a $400,000 deal, a guy who's currently in bankruptcy. And because he laid it all out for me up front. He's like, he's like, I know it's not good to have BK. He's like, here's the deal. I didn't like what happened because he's fighting with another lender. But I'm able to now verify his character. Like, he's going to be honest. If he's honest with me now, he will continue to be. You don't just all of a sudden change on things like that. So he will likely be honest throughout this. The collateral, I'm protected. Now I can go to the collateral, right? I'm, you know, protected by the collateral. So it doesn't really matter. Credit doesn't matter as much if your character is there, and that's really just being honest, being professional, and being polished. Those are the big things we're looking for character. Honestly, just be a good person. Is some of it all. Because even if you don't have your numbers, I'll work with you. We'll figure it out. You'll eventually get there. But to get my 24-hour closings, you're going to want to be polished, right? Okay, so that's character. Any questions on character? Anything else we might be looking at there?
Would you say, for the credit score, it could be off 20 points depending on the agency?
Oh yeah. I mean, most of the time, people think they know their credit score, and they probably do know the experienced version of it, right? But mortgage companies, they pull FICO scores, FICO 8. You know, there's all these different credit versions of your credit score, because what it is, just a quick credit score overview, I guess, is if you're applying for a car loan, they pull a different FICO score that prioritizes car payments. So same thing with lenders. We pull a credit score that prioritizes mortgage payments. So it scores it a little bit higher, a little bit lower. So you know, most people don't know exactly where their FICO would be on an investment property. But if somebody's saying, no, around 620 because of XYZ, I will eventually pull their credit. But for the sake of this conversation, you know, we're good to go. Like, you know, I can tell they're straightforward. They have, you know, if they're 100 points off, then there's, you know, something might have happened. But that does happen. Sometimes they generally didn't know, and they got to go figure things out. But yeah, it's not really about how accurate to their credit score they were. It was more just how they're presenting it to me and how open they are about it. Are they trying to hide something or are they not, right? Because, you know, I mean, if you're gonna give somebody $100,000 or $1 million, even $1, you know, you start establishing trust, like, can I trust you, right? That's you know, lenders do the same thing. There's no difference in that. So yeah, so that's on character. And now it goes to capacity. So we're still not even at credit yet in terms of the 4 C's. That's the fourth one. So capacity is going to be, basically, you could change the word capacity with the word cash. How much cash do you have? And this could be retirement funds. This could be in your bank account. It could be additional collateral. So if you own a property, free and clear, extremely powerful if you're able to get that. Because then you don't have to bring any cash. You can just use that property. It's called cross-collateralizing. Definitely a goal that you should have, just have that property. Yeah, go ahead.
In that scenario, would you establish maybe a line of credit for someone, or would they still have to go through?
Personally, we don't do lines of credit, but you can definitely get that with other companies. Yeah. For the most part, if we're using cross collateral with us, they're using it because I might say, hey, you got to bring $30,000 to this deal, or you can let me put a lien on that property as well. And a lien is just a mortgage on that property, saying I'm the bank on that. So it's called a blanket lien, where you now have a lien on the property you're buying as well as the property you own, and you don't have to bring any cash. Usually, if people are looking for a line of credit, they're using it for different reasons. You wouldn't really be coming to me for that. Using it as another project. It's just cash. Essentially, a big thing of cash. That's what it's like. It's a little different than a line of credit, but.
So if you need, say, $30,000 to do the deal, and I have 20 in cash, and can I use a line of credit to get that other 10?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you can use other money income or sources. Now, depending on what you're doing, I might lower my risk, meaning I'll come off my 65% number. So it's all about skin in the game. Every lender is going to be different in terms of their comfort on this. It's, you know, if somebody were to give you a brand new set of Air Jordans, you're going to take care of them, but you might also step in a puddle. Whereas if you bought those shoes, you're going to step around that puddle, right? That concept applies no matter the scale that you're talking about. So if somebody gave you money and you're not putting any of your own cash into this project, you care a little bit less than if it was your own cash. And that's what we care about, because it's not a number thing. I mean, we can deploy up to 200 million, so we could do the loan, 100% loan, no problem. But we want to make sure you're sweating at night when the project's going south. We don't want to be sweating at night either.
So are you saying that you want them to be invested, to have skin in the game? Like if you're giving me 65% loan to value, I need to come up with the rest of the money myself, or I need to show you ahead of time, or put a lien on my house or something.
Yep.
Like I have to have some kind of skin in the game.
Correct. That's a really good point. So I will go up to 65% of the ARV. But that doesn't always mean you're getting it, even if you have a good deal. Because I still want to see you put something into this. Because it's a lot easier than people think to just walk away from the deal. Because if you've only put $10,000 into it, and $10,000 is a lot of money, I would not want to walk away from that. But if you start looking at that project and saying, I got to do another year of this, and I got to probably put another $30,000 in, I'm just going to walk away. Like, yeah, whatever, they'll foreclose on me, they'll bankrupt me, whatever. Happens. Happens. Not often, but it happens. So we make sure that it's really hard for you to walk away from a project. Yeah, go ahead.
Why do you check a credit score if you asset-based loan?
Why do we?
Yeah.
So the question is, why do we check their credit score for asset-based? So now we can move on to the fourth C, credit. So we will check the credit before closing because we need to make sure the story is truthful of everything they've told us about themselves. So you can't just say I have a 700 credit score and we just have to take your word for it. It's, you know, you can't lie on the credit report. So not only can you not lie, but also, and this is a really big one, is we can see if you have judgments against you as a person. Because that can also happen. So, because we would be behind a judgment against you, meaning if the property, if it goes south and payoff needs to happen, whoever has that judgment against the person could potentially, especially if it's the government, get paid before us, and we could lose our money. So there's two reasons. One, to make sure you're telling us the truth, and then two, to make sure you don't have any judgments against you from another scenario, maybe a lawsuit, something like that.